So, dudes, welcome. Welcome once again. Digi, what's up, man? Just getting this ready here. There we go. Turn it down a little bit. Welcome to another stream. Just hanging and banging here. Minus 30. Oh, shit. Oh, that's not good, man. Welcome to Canada. Welcome to Canada. Welcome, everyone from all over. This evening, Chandelier UFOs now. You get chandeliers and jellyfish, and who knows what will happen next, right? Flying phalluses, maybe. The shapes may be endless out there. So, I know my Spore spaceship looked like a flying dick, so someone's probably done it. Disease X, the next big one. Sketchy stuff. Climate change explained by astrophysicist. I didn't get to that Tucker podcast, which I want to get to this evening. So, yeah, for anyone watching these VODs still who isn't followed, please consider giving me a follow. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers. I'm at 266. Trying to grow this shit. Trying to grow it. Getting there. So, thank you for all the continued support as well from everyone. So, yes. New one installed tomorrow. It's going to be a cold night then, huh? Get cozy. Get cozy. Best opening Spore spaceship. Look like a giant dick. Fuck yeah. If I was an alien. There was sombrero UFO shapes, if my memory serves me. That's true, though. There wasn't there, Hendrix? If you don't mind, Hendrix, I'm going to pull up the post you just posted as well a little while ago. At least I think I can pull up the images and read the post, but excited to go through it. I haven't gone through the whole thing yet, so yes. But first and foremost, what did I have up here, actually? Fuck. Oh, no, not that. This. Gas fireplace we're making do. Oh, nice. Yeah. Fuck, man. Climate change, right? First it was global warming. Then things started going completely like backwards, and now it's climate change. And the climate is changing. But is it changing enough that we need to start fucking upending our world? That is the question. Alex Jones is hosting. Breaking bombshell, Elon Musk takes on the WEF. Oh my fucking god, this guy like just latches on to like the nearest person's balls, like the hand that will feed him, he just latches on hard. Like, anyway, whatever. He's doing his thing. So yeah, man, well, I know, listen, I'd like to go through it. Like, oh, something's happening on my phone now. Oopsies, just a second. Someone tried to hack into me or what? Okay. This is the real reason they want to get rid of the farmers. Suck the fingers of the hands it feeds. It's exactly that's what he's doing. That's what he does. All right. Watch my interview with this Dutch farmer. This is Peter Sweden. Share if you support farmers. Let's get the music adjusted down slightly. Man, I can hear myself better. There we go. What do they have to say?
Schwab telling people to eat insects, but he also say at the end you will own nothing and still be happy. But Mr. Klaus Schwab will own everything. So the story, he will never eat the insects. He will force the poor people to eat insects and fake foods and produce hyper produced foods, you know, with a lot of...
Yeah, the blatant hypocrisy. Oh, that thing just pulled up now. Hopefully my internet is maintaining.
Chemicals inside and they force the poverty upon people will bring them to the fact that they have to buy this kind of food because they can't afford the rest. And by breaking down family farms in the Netherlands, food security will be at high stakes.
So it is like communism, where they take from the poor people, and only the rich people, the elite, they are the ones with all the power.
Well, actually,
and control.
it's very painful to say, but a free and democratic country, known all over the world, that we have very free laws and very free people that travel everywhere and make agreements all over the world, are now forced in some sort of pattern that we are, communism can be, it sounds like communism. They are
climate.
It sounds like fucking feudalism, bro. It's kind of closer to what it is, unfortunately, where we've got like this elite class and then the serf class, right? So that's what these people want. It's pretty blatant. Divin Arvis, welcome, man. Good to see you. Welcome. Yeah. U.S. and UK also bombed Yemen. Oh, really? Oh, Jesus. Well, I mean, there was a lot of bombing going on all through the Middle East, like, 20 years ago, right, Hendrickson? That didn't spark a world war. Just killed a bunch of innocent people so that the U.S. could secure those oil fields. But, yeah. Man. Yeah, it's literally it.
Climate communism.
Climate communism.
Yeah. Absolute nonsense. And listen, again, like, looking after the planet is not nonsense. Like, that fucking, I'm no fan of pollution and corporations abusing people. But at the same time, I'm not a fan of these idiots, too, that are fucking trying to hype everybody into this, like, apocalypse. Of our own doing, too. Oh, God. And this is... Alex is just back to his old...
The rubber meets the road and the crisis gets so serious, whether you're Joe Rogan or Elon Musk, they finally say, man, this New World Order is real. This plan to depopulate and enslave the planet's real. I shouldn't go along with this. I shouldn't be part of this. This is insane. And Elon tells them at the Davos group and tells them at the WEF meetings, your global government's going to get out of control. Even if you're successful imploding things, it'll create a world so dangerous, we're all going to die in a nuclear war. Stop.
If you didn't have anxiety when you woke up, watching 15 seconds of InfoWars will induce anxiety. Not even because of what he's talking about, but just because of Alex's overall anxiety rubbing off onto everyone else. It's crazy to think, honestly, that Joe's podcast, which I've followed really since the beginning, is now influencing the wealthiest and most influential guy on planet Earth, who is now in some kind of like good versus evil battle against these assholes. So Joe's platform is intimately involved in that. And thinking back to some of the fucking episodes he did, like, just smacked out of his fucking mind with people. Like, I remember the first episode I watched with him was with Anthony Bourdain, when it was like in his fucking like living room. And man, they're fucked up. Like, and it's funny though. It's funny that it's come to this, and that was like a decade ago now, at least, or more actually. So, and it's funny because Alex and Joe were friends, and I remember, I followed Alex too. That like I knew that they were buddies, and now Alex has been roped into this now. But to be fair to Alex, although he just creates hysteria to sell alpha male vitality formula, he has been on this for quite some time. He's been on to many other things too, but he's been covering these people and trying to sound the alarm about them, which is something that I think many people in the West have kind of ignored. A lot of the intellectuals that I follow always had blinders on to this, and I don't know if they were just hesitant to talk about it, like they were genuinely concerned about the threat, but it was like, before we try and elect a new person, like we're not addressing this looming shadow approaching, right? And we're just kind of thinking, oh, well, we need to clean everything up. It's like there's been a storm coming. And anyway, it's surreal, I guess, is what I was trying to say, that it's come to this, where Alex is literally at the forefront of all this now. So, yeah.
But they're maniacs, and they're committed to it. So you can say Elon's good or bad. Maybe he just is a realist and wants to survive. And I can't sit here as a Monday morning quarterback or a backseat driver and say he could have done better here or there. He goes from doing incredible things the last few years for freedom to doing tip of the spear stuff. And if you don't know that X is the front line in the fight for free speech, and if you don't know that they're coming after him 1,000 different ways, and you sit back as a purist and say, I'm not going to support what he's doing, I'm not going to support his fight for free speech, you are suicidal. You are crazy. This is real.
Fuck.
The Justice Department criminal investigations and the EU investigations and the Wall Street Journal hit pieces, that he smoked pot on TV once and needs to, have his corporate positions taken. It's because they're desperate and they're scared.
Interesting, Alex. He's really like milking this whole like I'm back on Twitter kind of thing, but this is good. He almost went to the just go kill yourself line, but instead he used you must be suicidal. He's watching his words carefully. That's good. Good. Saw a post, but just someone saying Houthis shot some missiles back at a U.S. warship. The post was 5 seconds old when I saw it. I haven't looked since the real confirmed. Warship was hit. Missed that part. This one, okay. What's this here? Oh shit. Oh. U.S. warship hit. Looks like she fucking hit something on her. God damn. Man, oh man. Rip to those people that did that. I mean, I don't know. Like, are there shithead terrorist cells over in that part of the world? Yes. Did anyone have any kind of a chance against the U.S. military ever? No. It's fuck. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like sympathetic for people like doing terrorist acts or anything whatsoever, but it was a pretty apocalyptic scenario that was created literally out of just trying to go fucking get oil out of there. Like and no one's been held accountable for it. So, the anger isn't really surprising, I guess. Not that it's justified ever. Not that violence is justified like that ever, but yeah. All the war propaganda, all the screaming and lies and hatred comes invariably from people who are not fighting. Interesting. Man, oh yeah, it's going off here. This is a lot of stuff. Yeah. What is this? Oh, I've seen this before too. This is a Club Our Own thing. At least 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year 2050. By limited wars, means of limited wars, organized epidemics of fatal, rapid-acting diseases and starvation. Energy, food, and waste shall be kept at subsistence levels for the non-elite, starting with the white populations of Western Europe and North America. The Anglo-Saxons behind all this. The population of Canada, Western Europe, and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than on other continents till the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion. Yeah, this is a Club of Rome document. We've read this on here before. I mean, who knows if that's actually the plan, but I mean, again, limited wars, organized epidemics, and then starvation. And the moves here recently, which is why I've been trying to cover the whole, German farming thing, is because that is definitely what they were trying to do initially when they came after the farmers in Denmark with the nitrogen the soil argument. I mean, it's just completely asinine. Like, you'd have to literally just be genuinely stupid to think that that'd be a good idea to take that out. Like, not even willing to consider the consequences of that, which are that food production will be drastically impacted, and consequently people will have to either pay more for the food, but there will be people that starve because of that. So it's just reading between the lines, unfortunately. As much as I don't like doing that either. But some more fun information before I get to more fun information. Here we go again. Klaus Schwab, the WEF, and the so-called global elites are preparing for Disease X, which they warn could result in 20 times more fatalities than the coronavirus pandemic. So me and Krieglich were talking about this a couple nights ago. I had not run into this yet, but here we go. Of course, they would love that to happen because they think the world is overpopulated and that we are useless eaters. Yeah. Remember, psychopaths let the telegraph what they're planning to do. The real question is, will you comply? And isn't that all the concern here? Because one of the things that kind of helped push back against what happened more recently and started to really genuinely enlighten people, because a lot of people, even people that I know, who were very hesitant about all this kind of talk when things were good, right? And, their livelihoods weren't threatened, their life wasn't threatened. When it came crashing down, they were more willing to consider some of these ideas, proofs really, because they've been out there pretty blatantly, but the idea that there are a group of people who have some kind of influence. Saying they're in control might be a bit audacious, but they have some influence, and that their intention is to reorganize society, and in doing so, that might reduce the population by means. So this is the World Economic Forum annual meeting. So again, for people that aren't familiar with this, back in October, I think it was early October, there was a mock test. There was a conference held by Gates Foundation, and the U.S. government was involved with it. Pharmaceutical companies were involved with it. And it was simulating a coronavirus pandemic and how we would react to it. And then a couple months later, like fast forward maybe like 2 months, there's an outbreak in China of said disease. So how are intelligence agencies, right? Like whether it's like CSIS or it's the FBI, right? CIA in the West, haven't looked into that and thought that was extremely suspicious is confounding to me. Really, it almost implies that there's some complicit actors, at least internally, or they're just so afraid to broach this subject to the public that they just brush it under the rug. But that was beyond suspicious that happened. It took me a while to digest that, because I had to like dig because I was like I just could not believe that was actually real. Like I thought this must be misinterpreted. Literally happened. Yeah. So here we go again, preparing for disease X. With fresh warnings from the World Health Organization that an unknown disease X could result in 20 times more fatalities than the coronavirus pandemic, what novel efforts are needed to prepare healthcare systems for the multiple challenges ahead? So that's the big talk here. A long-term strategy for climate, nature, and energy. Wonderful. And with some kind of cyber attack on the horizon, maybe preceding the election, that would just be brilliant, because of what it would allow these people to do. This is deep conspiratorial thinking here, but I mean, we're well in the woods at this point anyway. So, if you were some psychopath, and you really wanted to, get people like on a lead, the shutting down the internet is absolutely something you need to do. Like, you cannot allow this kind of dissent. If you're some elitist that is trying to reorganize society, having the internet functioning in the way it's functioning right now, the level of freedoms people enjoy, and the level of information circulating around, they're circumventing all of their controlled, assets in the media. The only way that you'd be able to really achieve this goal of like complete domination would be to shut down and then reorganize the internet. That would be the only way. And if you had this kind of intention, right, it would have to precede this. So then we would anticipate, if this is something they think is going to happen, or some assholes are going to try and have happen, that the internet going down is something that we then probably would anticipate. If that's even something they can do, it might be something they try and it might fail. So, yeah. Again, like, I don't think these people are like wizards. These are just people. At the end of the day, we're all people here. Much as David Icke likes to think they're reptilians, sadly, I don't have that intuition. I think they're just literally assholes, right? Which is kind of a harder thing to confront at times. I mean, you can look at maybe a group of people who would do something horrendous like this, and you could say, well, my God, like, who would be that evil? Like, only reptilians from Alpha Draconis could be this evil. Like, only they could hate humanity to that degree, right? But no, tragically, it is just people. And people can be that bad. And that's stupid, actually. Yeah. That's a good question, Naaman. And maybe there's forces that are going to... I mean, from my very basic understanding, there are sites they could attack that could probably drop the internet. At least there would still be an internet, but people's access to said internet might be affected. And then consequently, after whatever takes it down, some cyber pandemic, the solution they'd offer to bring it back up is increased controls, which would then maybe create more hesitation in people to speak freely on these things. I don't know how but that's just something that's been floated out there, and something that's been talked about excessively from these people at the WEF, that they're worried about. We're so worried about this giant cyber pandemic that would give us a great opportunity to finally enslave all of you useless eaters. Yeah, just want to live now. I know, right? Rabbit, welcome, man. Yeah, fuck. Anyway, I mean, it's what the fuck is this? Right for, and they've given the evacuation order. Survive. Oh, there's the UN. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is this fear mongering? No, I don't think so. I think this is like, I think this is a legitimate threat here, honestly. But anyway, I don't like it. Yeah. Who knows? Just we just keep track of it, right? And get your cabin in the woods ready. Right, we're gonna be distancing ourselves from society a little bit quicker than anticipated. The decentralization is gonna happen quicker than we might thought it is. Right? Who knows? This was again Alex all over X. This was very interesting. Just highlighting. I don't like covering this stuff, but this is obviously very important. But an unfortunate reality in our world that there is a lot of human trafficking that still goes on, and the human trafficking that goes on within the United States. And I have heard this before, that these migrant families bring kids over, and unfortunately to survive sometimes end up selling the kids off. And is that what they want to do? Probably a horrendous situation. They're probably starving. I mean, I just fucked stuff, right? But anyway, he was highlighting this, said dozens of very pregnant migrants processed in the middle of the night at the Texas border. Watch trafficked children crammed. I mean,
Where are you?
You got those smuggled children illegally. Hey, we need the police over here. They got a bunch of kids without their car seats.
Can you imagine if they weren't? It was just some guy trying to go out to fucking Walmart with his kids. Alex Jones standing in the middle of the fucking street. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I'm trying to blow everybody.
This is a massive smuggling.
This is literally human smuggling. These are children. Where are you taking these kids?
And now,
sir, where are you taking these kids?
They don't even have car seats.
Sir,
no, their seatbelts
their seatbelts aren't even on. Where are you taking these children? Sir, identify yourself. Who are you?
Don't fucking hit me. I'll tell you right fucking.
Who do you work for? Are you part of this organization?
No, sure. I don't know.
So you don't know where these kids are going?
They're going to check the top.
Don't know about that one, but Jesus fuck, man. Alex just out in the middle of the street. Anyway, enough of that. God damn it. Yeah. I mean, if that's actually what's going on, yes. The problem with Alex sometimes is he tries to paint the picture that in this situation that he's currently in, this is 100% what's happening, but it's like, I don't know if we're ever quite at 100%. It's maybe like 55%. This looks like something that might be happening. Right? But then you notice in that last clip, like the mom just has her head down in the back seat, like, holy fuck. Probably just spent like 40 hours straight getting up from like Tijuana or something, like with her kids. And it's like, oh my God, who's this guy yelling at me? Yeah. That's true though, Naaman. Yeah. He is out there. That's true. Yeah. He is out on the street screaming. You got the whole, when I think of Alex, I think of that. There was a really great clip, and Kriegleak knew where it was from. He posted it here before, but it's from a movie. And I think it kind of encapsulates Alex's character, where he gives a speech and he's driving around in this car with these bullhorns screaming. It was very, very well done. Again, and like, he has his moments, but yeah, it's exactly it. He's out there screaming at the top of his lungs for people to wake up, and he's been doing it for a long time. I don't agree with everything that he's done. But, anyway, at the very least, no one's perfect. None of us are perfect. So, private sector UFO whistleblowers, Jeremy Corbell says people who worked on non-terrestrial technologies within private industry under an intelligence agency will come forward this year. If Congress won't do it, we're going to have to do it our own way.
much deeper level where people are being pressured to not come forward if they've had hands-on experience working on these non-terrestrial technologies within private industry under an intelligence agency. And I've talked to numerous people that have and do work in those positions. Just the idea of coming forward and breaking from the fold, the oppression and the silence that's put on people. Now, you're going to be hearing more about that directly from people. That is the goal for 2024. But as far as suppression of information, I can tell you firsthand that there is absolutely tactics that are put forward. This is a secret. UFOs is a secret for our government. They don't want it out. This is not some orchestrated attempt to get more information out. We have fought for every millimeter, every single inch on this subject. And finally, we're getting to the point we're seeing that leaks and whistleblowers, that's moving the ball forward. So if Congress won't do it, if Senate won't do this, then look, we're going to have to do it our own way.
That should be his slogan. I will fight for getting every inch in. Something like that. He should make a t-shirt that says that. I fought for every inch. I think that would work really well on that t-shirt. Fuck. Speaking of that, here's another release. Today we release the image of a military filmed UAP, a still from a video, that was filmed over the Persian Gulf. This vehicle of unknown origin had no conventional flight control surfaces and has been officially designated by the United States as a UAP. This designation is currently maintained, the Chandelier UAP. Date and time not disclosed. Because... Location. This image was taken over the Persian Gulf. There are the coordinates. Can we go there? That'd be kind of cool. I'll go there in a second. Imaging type. Thermographic. Forward-looking infrared. FLIR. Event description. A short synopsis can be seen in part 3 of the UFO Revolution docu-series. Subscribe. More to come. There's the image. I saw a couple people talking about that in the Discord. Yeah. I don't fucking know. It's one of those ones where it's like, you know, who was it? Mick and all the fucking boys think the last one, the jellyfish is a bunch of balloons. It's like, Mick, I think you might be an NPC. I don't know, but like, I played a lot of Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and sometimes I wonder, with things that you say, if I'm still in that game and I'm still fucking 16, and you're one of the characters in the game. But yeah, I don't fucking know. I mean, this is like, yeah. Why didn't they call it a snowflake? It looks more like a snowflake. It doesn't look like a fucking chandelier. It looks like a chandelier, like if you're looking up at it. You know, is there an explanation for this? There's been tons floated. With this kind of stuff, though, I mean, if it was genuinely anomalous, and he got this from someone internally, which he obviously did, then I'm assuming there's more to the story. There might be corroborating data, like maybe there's satellite data tracking this object and it was in fact anomalous. So there might be a mundane explanation looking at it, but it's one of those things where it's like the UFO, a genuine like alien spacecraft, you know, at the right angle and far enough away, could look like a seagull in flight. So you could look at the still of the image and say that could just be a seagull. It's like it could be. The whole image could be fake, right? It could also be real. It's, you know, this is where we get into this stuff. It's like, you know, you just need more data. It's just kind of data poor, honestly, unfortunately, with many of these instances. And I find them interesting. I honestly find the eyewitness stuff more compelling sometimes. As much as I know, like, hard science needs, like, fucking quality data, as we would objectively need to finally come to a proper conclusion on this stuff. But the witness testimony to me is very compelling. You know, because again, it's like it's sometimes more interesting to me too, as I'm not someone that I tend to like people, not things, right? Hence why I'm in the humanities. But people still busy digging Miami Alien though. Fuck, I've seen that, man. See, but that's more interesting than this. Like, this is just a blurry photo of something. Like, this isn't like aliens at the mall. This is not like Stranger Things, right? Season 3 or what? Or is that season 1? I fucking forget. But yeah, I mean, whatever it is, Jeremy, let's go there. Where is this? If I put these into Google, is it going to bring me there? It's Google That Smart. Oh my God, it is. Wow. Right here. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Off the shore of Kuwait. That's an interesting place to be. Why is the U.S. military still there in the degree that it is, honestly? Anyway, here it is right here. Can we go to... where's the fucking Google Earth satellite? Here we go. Satellite. Okay. Terrain. Satellite. It's just, yeah. Anyway, pretty. There's a photo from that area. Very cool. Yeah. This one looks like made by a mathematical genius, while jellyfish looks like made by a blind person. These photos, videos, black and white sensor type, are pretty weak to say they are unequivocally UFOs. Yeah, the 5 observables. That's a good point, Hendricks. What happened? Where is Lou Elizondo? Men in Black was a documentary series. Men in Black was a documentary. Oh yeah, yeah. It's very interesting. Where, oh yeah, here we go. There's a couple, here's some talk on this stuff. So this is on to the other one that Jeremy did, which is a fucking, jellyfish. Looks like the few facts we got from TMZ and Jeremy Corbell with the jellyfish UAP weren't really all facts. Sigh. Here's some testimony from a man who was at the base and saw the entire video. His background confirmed, and he uses his name and actual likeness without a synthesized voice. This is Brian Enton from News Nation, digging deep inside of the story. Inches deep. A Marine who worked on the base in Iraq tells me he saw the full 17-minute jellyfish UFO video. He says the Marines nicknamed it the Spaghetti Monster. Michael Sinkowski says he worked in intelligence surveillance recognitions, and that the video is from 2017, not 2018.
17 minutes?
Yes.
And so what else is there in the video that we haven't seen?
Not a whole lot. All I can say about that is towards the end, it seemingly just continued off into the distance. And it got smaller and smaller, whether that's because the sensor was zooming out or it was moving off into the distance, but it got seemingly far enough away to where they couldn't see it anymore, whether it dropped into the water or it just continued over the lake, because there's a lake next door of the base that we were at. But at no point towards the end of the video did it where you could see it drop into the water and then shoot off into the sky like there had been some claims. That never happened.
Did you think when you watched it for the first time that like it could be, you know, non-human?
It crossed my mind because the theories that we had, like I said, didn't fully explain it. And so naturally, I think our human mind or our curiosity kind of goes there and is like, you know, is this something extraterrestrial or extra dimensional or paranormal or whatever, you know, you want to call it. And it didn't seem to be posturing to threaten us at all. So it wasn't like we needed to take immediate action against it. So yeah, I think it was handled in the best way possible. Like I said, it kind of just ended up being kind of like the ghost story of the base.
Oh, okay. Take a look at this. This is called an aerostat. It is
Ghost story of the base. Interesting. I spoke to one of the guys I worked with while in the defense industry, and he said the Air Force's network share folder on their TS network where they stick all these UFO photos, videos, and a good amount of folks have access to it. Interesting. But these are SCI, SAP cleared folks, so they won't typically say anything about it. So there has been a lot more videos out there. Interesting. It's very interesting, to be honest, actually. Yeah. Again, someone countering Corbell, it makes me wonder if he's just obtuse, randomly lying, fucking around with this stuff. Did someone post an image of balloons look quite similar? Yes, those balloons that were posted actually, Hendrix, were created in Blender, I think. So somebody took the jellyfish and then made balloons that looked like it, and now they're floating around on Twitter, and people are saying, oh, well, these are the balloons. It's like, no, someone, I suppose it's a little bit sneaky, but someone actually made the balloons, I think, to match the thing. So the object. So yeah. Kind of, it's just real confirmed. Yeah. So I mean, interesting. Reconnaissance, not recognize. Yeah, I was gonna say that didn't make any sense, that word. This is a testimony for men. Yeah. So, but he's kind of downplaying Jeremy Corbell's post. I don't know. I mean, again, like, Jeremy's obviously selling this on his like podcast and shit, but like, I don't know. Yes, that is correct. He arrived in early 2018 and was shown the video, which he says was taken in late 2017. I'll post more of these interview later. Interesting. Yeah. And notice a pattern that's developed pre-Corbell plus UFO videos. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. 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 Fuck. It's just the way that it is. I mean, and again, he's out there. He's put his neck on the chopping block, and it's been chopped at multiple times. But I think there's just an inconsistency with the reporting. Clearly, this happened before with his last debacle, which were genuinely flares over a training area in the Southwest United States. And he bought and then sold the hysteria around it instead of really actually digging into it. Like when you're doing these kinds of things, it's like you have to try and look at it from both angles. So you should be, when digging into these stories, not just wanting to believe it. And this has been my problem with Jeremy from the get-go. And then I think, Finn, you showed me that video where he was fucking talking to Stan Friedman, and then I really started disliking him. But he has this narrative that he wants to believe, and that is a classic trope and problem in ufology, which is that people want to believe in the shit. And it's like, no. Like when digging into these videos, he should be trying to debunk them himself. It's fine to listen to the people and the eyewitness testimony that's convicted about what they saw, but he should be doing everything in his power to debunk it first before even investing anything financially into putting it out there, right? But then too late, he puts it out there, and then he doesn't want to bring it up. Like that whole flare thing was never properly addressed. I mean, and I'd seen people trying to hold him accountable, but yeah, it's just it shouldn't be forgotten, I guess, right? I'm just gonna let Edgar in the fucking room here. Come here, buddy. Go on. Aye. Yeah. You believe UFO witnesses because of the patterns that repeat across different witnesses and countries, so we should also take note of the pattern with Jeremy hyping a vid, then he releases it. Then within hours, skeptics come out with a perfectly reasonable mundane explanation. Then Jeremy digs in his heels and says, but my sources say it's legit. And eventually he either backtracks or goes quiet. On the green triangles, it was bokeh, yeah, and a bunch of balloons and a lens diffraction effect. Is that your opinion, Finn? Do you think the jellyfish is balloons? Interesting. I don't know either way. And then I haven't done enough looking into this, and even if I do, I'm not really going to be able to discern anything because I'm not an expert in image analysis. But yeah, it's he's been that's exactly it. Yeah, he is getting paid handsomely for what he's doing. Yeah. And I'd be curious to see how handsomely, I guess. Like, I know the Bob Lazar documentary did make it was pretty mint. But that, again, extremely problematic because it was it was, to be fair, it's a documentary on him, but it was a documentary glorifying him. Like, maybe it wasn't his intention to dig into his story, but he was supposed to a little bit. He implied with the release of the documentary that's what he was going to be doing, and he didn't. And it took a group of investigative journalists like 2 or 3 months to actually finally get to the bottom of what was going on with Bob. And they actually talked to people that worked with him at Los Alamos, and they were like, oh, he's just a tech. Like, he worked on it. And it was like, holy fuck. And for people that follow that story for a long time, there was always a confounding part about his story was the fact that in the article, the newspaper article, he was a physicist working at Los Alamos. And then magically, you know, he didn't have any educational records, and it was like, whoa, that's crazy. Did they actually remove that? And in hindsight, what actually happened was the guy who wrote the article probably misinterpreted it, and or Bob was telling people, hey, I'm a physicist, right? When, you know, again, objectively, is he? Yeah, probably. He loves physics, but like to work in those areas, you have to have you have to be accredited. You have to be employed actually to work at Los Alamos by the University of California. And he wasn't. He was employed by, I think, Kirkmeyer, right? Which doesn't employ physicists there. It employs techs. So that's kind of a hit on George Knapp, too, a little bit, honestly, because he became buddies with him. And I think they kind of knew some of his bullshit, and they didn't really want to out that about him. But, oh, fuck, anyway. So, again, just to kind of speak to some of the bullshit that he's got himself into with this stuff, it's like he doesn't dig deep enough. Really. That's kind of what I've seen. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The 29 Palms flares, he just went quiet. Yeah. That's what I thought too. Yeah. My next explanation is a bunch of balloons and a lens flare effect. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hearing the defense community that they are much more afraid of these UAPs being Chinese. I can imagine it'd be the case because that's like the boogeyman, right? David Ormus? That would make sense. Yeah. Moves like a bunch of balloons. Nothing about the video actually shows us anything anomalous. The Chandelier UFO, notice how its angles up line perfectly with the camera frame. It's consistent with the diffraction lens artifact. There is a smoke trail leading to the chandelier, so it could be a bright flame coming from the rear of a rocket. Interesting. What about the changing of the colors in the jellyfish UFO though, Finn? Because it's FLIR, and if it's changing color from black to white, then it's getting hot or cold or vice versa. Is there an explanation to that as to why it's someone had put forward an ISO changing, like when they're actively looking at it. Yeah, very color change based on the average temperature in the current frames. Yeah, that's something that we were looking at last night. Me and Drunk Physics were watching through it. That, I mean, both of us admittedly not experts in FLIR. So, also change brightness. They do, but they don't change to the degree the object does. Like, I know things in the back do change slightly. They become a bit more saturated. Again, that isn't, maybe there is a mundane explanation for it. I just thought initially to like the layman that when it changed from black, and then it really did a bit of like a texture shift almost into white, and it became almost more translucent. Is that a consequence maybe of, this was filmed at night, I think, so maybe moonlight hitting it? I don't know. But, well, he says UFO changes heat. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. So it doesn't. So what's it doing, I guess? Like, it's a question. Like, what is causing it to change in that way? Yeah. Focal point, that's why it's more distinguished change. That could be a good point, Hendrix. Yeah. That everything in the background is not going to be, yeah, maybe that could explain it. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, it's obviously a hot topic here because it's something that someone like Jeremy, who has somehow established himself in the UFO community. I mean, he associated himself with Bob. And he nagged at Bob, I think, to get that documentary made. And then because of that, he came into contact with George Knapp. And, you know, I mean, Jeremy has an eye, I think, for film. Like, so, you know, he's a communicator. And then I think from there, then that allowed him to kind of get his way into the community. I think he's got a long way to go with some of this stuff. Again, that we watched the fucking, that if anyone wants to get an idea, I think, of the guy a little bit, go watch the interview. You can probably just Google or YouTube it, Jeremy Corbell, Stanton Friedman, and the interaction there, and like how he started to pull the audience. You know, he was kind of being very dramatic, and he wanted to believe, and he wanted other people to believe Bob's story. He didn't want to actually dig into it. And, you know, he was a little bit more, he was a little bit more flamboyant, I guess. And like Stanton is a much more grounded, logical guy. Like, You know, he doesn't really draw the attention that Jeremy does, and he was abusing that in that interaction. It's just like, not to psycho fucking analyze him, but I guess I kind of am in that moment, that his intention was to just get people on board to believe, not to actually think about the problem, which is unbelievably problematic. And if that's his modus operandi, then I don't think he's good intentions. No one that acts like that has good intentions, right? They're out for, they have an ulterior motive, honestly, if that's what they're trying to do. Yeah, I just that definitely shifted my perspective on him big time. Yeah. Then it is just a bokeh farce, where Jeremy argued it wasn't bokeh, but it absolutely was. He doesn't understand lens artifacts. And that's the thing too. I mean, like, he's communicating this. Get some accredited people involved in analyzing this. Like, you know, have some image experts and people within the military specialized in imaging look at this and like tell us that it's not. And if it isn't these things, then give us explanations for why it isn't these artifacts. Right? If there's other corroborating data you can't release, say that. Explain it, like, to the best of your ability. There's a bunch of shit they could be doing, and he could be doing when putting these things out. It's just kind of like a half-assed release, really. Honestly. That's like, it's dressed up, right? And it gets clicks, but ultimately, like, in terms of, like, proper research, and it's not very good. It's not good enough, honestly, to hold up to scrutiny, clearly. And again, if I were going to be tying my name to something like that and speaking with that level of conviction, that, well, here's a huge deal. It's like, well, like, dude, you gotta fucking like put the work in. He would have access to all of these resources, all these people that could have gone behind the scenes and really analyzed this in depth and been like, well, this could be this, you know. And the other thing too, a lack of transparency, where it's like definitively this, it has to be this, I've been told it's this. It's like, well, again, and that the problem with putting this stuff out, when you speak like that, like, if you want the clicks, you want people to follow you, if you want to create a following, if you want people to believe, if you want to start a fucking cult, you have to speak with conviction, right? And you know, part of like sitting back and thinking is that will create hesitation, and that hesitation can affect that conviction, and then things aren't quite as believable, and you just get in this space of like, well, I don't know, ultimately, right? But if you're speaking with a conviction on this, and you're saying this is real, and I know this is real, and people have said it, it is like psychologically far more convincing. There's a level of like hypnotism in there, I think, really, with that. You see that in like the preachers and stuff, and like fundamentally religious people. Like that's how they kind of mesmerize people. Anyway, it frustrates me, you know, like, yeah, he was naming. He was massively invested in it. Yeah. And he probably made some money, because it was on multiple different streaming services. Netflix had run it a couple times. So, yeah, it was absolutely a bit of a payday there. Again, you know, whatever. In regards to that, like, whatever. He probably gave Bob some of the money, like, whatever. I mean, that stuff to me was a little bit more harmless. It still frustrates me that he didn't take that opportunity to like get to the bottom of things more, right? It was just kind of a glorifying of the story, which, like, personally, as someone who's followed it and found it very intriguing, I didn't want, but it was flashy, and, you know, anyway, yeah. The ultimate target for trolling, yeah. He doesn't have actual photographic expertise, yeah. He couldn't even identify the 29 pumps flares for retelling. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was like, that took a little bit of work. That took some of the guys at Metabunk, like, that took them at least like 2-3 days, I guess, to figure that out. You know, and again, they put forward explanations for things all the time that are fucking ridiculous, but shots in the dark with things that are genuinely anomalous, I mean, it's far more difficult, but that was something that was pretty well explained, I think. So, I saw that. I had that up here, actually, Hendrix, but I think we may have closed it. But the post, he was asking people for questions, one of the congressmen. Yeah, tomorrow, prepare to be underwhelmed. Yes, I know. From our comments here, I think we can conclude that Jeremy's a dumbass. I think he's one of those people that stood up and started screaming at the top of his lungs, "This is real, this is real, this is real," right? And when you do that, you can make a living at it, right? And he knows about branding, and he knows about marketing, and he knows about, again, how to market something properly, right? How to get people involved, how to get a backing, right? Which again is like the conviction and like, this is real. I know this is real. Putting your neck on the chopping block, like you're putting yourself on the line, which is what he does time and again. His reputation on the line, his reputation among people who actually think on this topic has suffered greatly. I think clearly from everyone in here who's involved in thinking on this stuff a lot. So yeah. Okay, we're still unidentified aircraft. Yeah, still UFOs, but look at the pattern of Jeremy and his videos of hype. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah. He's not a trained videographer. He just picked up a camera and started pointing it at people and they talked. Yeah, he's not an expert in the areas he really needs to be. Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. He just has a following. How many people follow him? 219,000. Yeah. Again, like, it's well, he's a filmmaker, I guess. He just likes making films and he just started making films and whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah. Great. Yeah. That's exactly it. Again, yeah, he has that conviction and he has a confidence too, right? Which is a part of selling something well, is he has the confidence to go and put himself out in front of these places, these journalists and these fucking TV shows, and like that's no joke. Again, like to hold your composure there and speak, he can speak quite coherently. Like he's clearly quite adept at speaking in front of the camera and whatnot, and holding his composure. But at the end of the day, for me personally, I don't know if we need a communicator of this, really. We just need someone who's going to figure it out. It's nice to have people, I guess, talk about this shit and to talk with people about it. But I don't like seeing when it becomes personally too dressed up, especially this conversation. I don't like seeing things be cut out. I like this topic to be fucking raw, right? I like it when it's raw talk on this, right? Jeremy's all about the inches, but I just feel like he's not raw enough. That's the other thing he's got to figure out. Sometimes it's a little bit too dressed up. Personally, I don't think it needs to be too dressed up. It doesn't need to be glamorized. Like, yeah. I like James Fox's documentaries on this. So it's another reason why I love James Fox. I love his documentaries because they're just like much more grounded. Like you can just tell, like he just wants to know what the fuck's going on. It's a human element involved with his stuff that I love, and all of his films where, it's a passion project with him, and you can feel that, and it's for the love of this and the journey he's been on trying to get to the bottom of this genuinely. In contrast, I think, to kind of sometimes what Jeremy does. I'm looking forward to his next film, actually. Yeah. It was absolutely horrendous. Right after the 2018 New York Times article, he's saying, "Hey, remember Bob Lazar? This is track. Lazar story isn't improved in any way at all. It's just recycling old lore." Yeah, exactly. If he had gone and actually did work on Lazar's story again, like I should pull up and go over that at another time here, but there were a group of investigative journalists who finally said, okay, fuck this, we're actually going to figure out what happened here. And it didn't take them a lot of work, and it took, like, they got a hold of like a lot of people that he worked with. They got a hold of his supervisor. I think they got a hold of the person potentially that even hired him for Kirkmeyer to work at Los Alamos as a tech. What they couldn't get a hold of was the Area 51 stuff. And their conclusion I disagreed with because they thought he made the whole thing up. And he clearly didn't. He clearly had an encounter with Ed Teller. Ed Teller clearly knew him, right? And Ed Teller was clearly involved with something big, right, in regards to this phenomena. There's been a lot of documentation, a lot of rumors going on around lately that potentially, the guys involved with the Manhattan Project were consequently afterwards involved with covering up the whole Roswell incident. Crashes, retrievals, etc. And that would make sense. I mean, that was the biggest secret on planet Earth. And then who are you going to get to look after the other biggest secret? Is like, well, same group of guys. like Oppenheimer and whatnot. But so then, you know, and then he did bring people out to the desert. He brought people out to Groom Lake. They saw strange lights. They videotaped them. There were multiple people that saw that. George Knapp had heard that. The whole Las Vegas news team there had documented fucked up stuff going on. Like there was a group of people out to fucking get him, essentially. So that stuff's all documented. Like, so you know, it's just, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's telling the truth completely, I guess. But anyway, so like we were talking about this last night, but my ultimate conclusion on Bob is I think that probably there's a good amount of intentional bullshit inserted into the story because he was actually involved with something classified to do with this. It probably was legitimately dangerous, and he probably has no intention of endangering his life any further, right? So there's probably some intentional holes put in there. Possibly he carried information forward out of programs he wasn't involved with, like the stuff he heard through the grapevine out there. That's something Christopher Mellon had actually said on Joe Rogan's podcast too. That's what he had heard internally, that all Bob was doing was checking badges at Area 51 when people came in, and that potentially he used to hang around a bar that all of these people used to go hang out at, and he may have come into contact with people that were working on this stuff. Maybe the deal was to use him as the scapegoat, and he came out as the guy who told everybody about this when in fact the actual guy working on the craft wasn't Bob. Again, it's like when you're dealing with something this classified and this complicated and this covered up and this dangerous, it's like I think sometimes we want simple explanations and we want this to be digestible, but in reality it's likely extremely complex. Again, I mean, if the guy who actually worked on the craft, if it wasn't Bob, is probably very intelligent. Again, like you're dealing with someone clearly hyper intelligent if they've been recruited to work on an alien spacecraft and understand the propulsion physics around this craft. I mean, I feel like, you know, it's going to be complicated, unfortunately. So there isn't going to be a simple explanation. But with Bob, ultimately, that's my personal conclusion. If I were to bet, at least, that's probably what happened. It's a very complicated story, and he's just adopted the role of the guy that had hands-on with it, when in fact maybe he was a guy who's representing someone who had hands-on with it in some strange way. That, or he actually did work on it, and he just falsified his educational records, and Ed Teller didn't care to fucking look into it. He's naturally, clearly very smart, regardless of how accredited he may be. I mean, again, it's like, do you have to go to a university to do physics? Fuck no. Did many people involved with setting up like foundational things in physics go to university? Fuck no. So that doesn't mean he's not smart. That doesn't mean they could have just recruited him anyway, knowing he's smart. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there have been inconsistencies. The educational thing is a massive inconsistency. Claiming he's a physicist at Los Alamos is a massive inconsistency. There are other parts of the story that are consistent, though. He took multiple lie detector tests. He was under hypnosis multiple times. He recorded all of it. He was very transparent in regards to that. The strange thing is with his educational records and his employment history. Clearly, there was some shady shit that went on there. Yeah. Did I watch the new one? Has the new one come out yet? I don't think it has. Did it come out? The one that they did in Montreal there? They're basically saying, thanks everyone that was lying about education back then, and here's some real talk. I didn't graduate high school, but... Oh, yeah. Well, and that's going to be very possible, yeah. Oh, there you go. There you fucking go. Yeah, and again... Maybe he did falsify his educational records. He might still be smart, and that's maybe something they even knew and looked over. They could give a shit. They just wanted him to take a look at it. I mean, that could also be the case. That was Stanton's reasoning for not taking him seriously. Yeah, I kind of agreed that although that was definitely a bump in the road with that, there are other explanations as to potentially how he could have still legitimately been hired on. But his involvement as a physicist at Los Alamos was 100% bullshit. He was never a physicist at Los Alamos. Like, the guys dug that up pretty quick. So he was lying about that. Unless he's trying to say, like, I am objectively a physicist, but I was a technician at Los Alamos. Like, he wasn't doing physics at Los Alamos. He was working on maintaining some of the machines for physicists. Because he wasn't employed by the University of California. So that That is a problem. But anyway, ego maybe, who the fuck knows? Yeah. Yeah, finish. Oh, really? Yeah. Thanks for receives all that. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly it. I mean, so many great people throughout history. Listen, the state the universities are in right now, man, I wouldn't be paying them fucking $60,000 for a degree. Go fuck yourself. That's what I'd be saying to most fucking universities right now. Like, as much as I did love philosophy, and I did love philosophy, and I did love academia. There's a lot of it that frustrated me honestly. There's a lot of bullshit. My intention was to go and to do my dissertation. Like, I was at one point completely in that I was going to invest the time and the money to go and, you know, get my PhD and do the work, and then my professor dissuaded me from doing it to some degree. I still would like to, but again, it's like, you know, anyway, fucking moving on. Yeah. All right, last one, Black Site, you get clearance. They are honestly always hunting for people due to high turnover rate, burnout rate. Yeah, that's a good point, Enormous. Yeah. I don't think we're recycling the story. No, yeah, absolutely fucking didn't. I would have to agree. Yeah. Yeah. Although I did enjoy Joe Rogan's podcast with Bob is one of my favorite podcasts. There's something about Bob, and I've said this before though, he speaks with a level of conviction on what happened that is very convincing. And I like to think I'm perceptive of this. Again, I could be fooled like anybody else. But there's something about his level of conviction when he's speaking on what happened that is very compelling, I should say. That makes me stop and think that I don't like throwing around the word believe a lot, but that I would bet that he encountered something classified and that he encountered something anomalous, whether it was an actual fact of craft or someone who worked on the craft and he encountered the stories. But the way he speaks is pretty straightforward and pretty blunt that he was the guy that worked on it. So anyway, who knows? Yeah. I'm going to finish real quick, but the actual knowledge is built with experience. That's true. That is true. Yeah. That is true, Ditchy. Yeah. The one thing about university too can kind of, depending on what you're doing is a discipline as well. I mean, if you're just going to get like an undergraduate in, or you're just going to get, you know, a certificate in something. I mean, you know, it depends how involved people are too in it, I guess. But like, there are different communities. I mean, different disciplines have tighter knit communities than others. I'd like to think like philosophy is kind of an eccentric discipline in academia where, you know, it's more like an outcast fucking discipline where everyone's kind of looking around at that department like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, and so it becomes a little more tight knit. Physicists, I find, the physics is a similar kind of phenomena, where again, I don't want to say like they're cult like, but they're very tight knit. Yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, if you love a subject, if you love a thing, and you can find a good group of people, it can be a good time. It is way too much fucking money though. It's objectively not worth it. Yeah. I saw part of them interviewing a soldier. What happened to saying Jeremy was lying? No, we're just going over Jeremy's history of putting stuff out. Yeah, your degree is just an approval experience with much. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Yes, yeah, it's kind of what it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's just the idea is it should prepare you for, you know, it's well, initially really it's a litmus test. I mean, what they did back in like the early 20th centuries, if you wanted to do a more complicated job, like be a manager somewhere, you do like a litmus test, and it would just kind of test your competency. Like, are you competent enough to do this job? And that's all you would need to do. It's just this little test. And then, okay, well, you're competent enough to be a manager here, etc. But what happened was back in the early 20th century, a university started to really turn into like a business. Like probably like like 1930s, 40s. It began to like, there wasn't such a thing as like a business department. Like you couldn't go get a business degree, right? Like it was about like the hard sciences, the humanities, etc. You know, it's people that were there were passionate about what they were doing. You didn't just go there to get a degree so that you could go become a fucking manager somewhere. It's like that wasn't the fucking intention, like, at all. And that's what it's become. It's become like this business, and it's really obnoxious, and it's become really polluted lately. And there's a lot of fucking like idiots in charge of running a lot of like the highly respectable universities right now that are it's very problematic. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we turned out a whole generation of BCs that don't know how to create value in a commodity. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. It's it's a huge problem. It's a huge fucking problem. Is this what's this?
The U.S. has intact spacecraft. You said that the government has alien bodies or alien species.
Oh, this is just.
Have you seen?
It has been since the inception of the UFO problem. Nothing to see here. All of that has changed.
A multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering.
Oh, this is just the fucking. I haven't seen this yet, actually. I have to get maybe tomorrow night I'll get a chance to sit and watch this. I am going to watch it though, but yeah. This is what we just watched before. What we read last night. Where is he? Is it free now? Depends where you go. If you go into Discord, I think it is. Thanks to, I think, Finn, maybe someone. But yeah. Yeah. The Metabunk Chandelier. Where is he? Where is that? Is that something in the Discord, Finn? The Metabunk Chandelier thing. Where is it? Did I miss that? I don't know if I saw that. I saw the thread on the jellyfish, but I didn't see it must be on Twitter, huh? Somewhere. I know. What was the other thing? This guy. I spoke with a military witness to the jellyfish UFO. It seems some recently reported details are wrong and are unfounded. So, I mean, I think Jeremy, to be fair to him, got the date like off by a day, maybe. Is that it? He's the ISR tactical controller at El Takunum Air Base in Iraq. Anybody associated with this fucking dink is sus. Like, again, it's like maybe some people within the military industrial complex being like, oh, fuck, no, not another one. It says it was captured in fall 2017 by a tethered PTS surveillance balloon. Interesting. It was a mystery on the PTDS team. Jesus. I keep wanting to say PTSD. It's usually in the military. That's what comes to my fucking mind. Sinkowski says the actual raw video of the strange object is 17 to 80 minutes long. Towards the end, appears to float over Hibanaya Lake. He claims, regarding claims the object descended into the lake, then shot into the lake at high speed. He says, I never saw that. At no point did it ever shoot into the lake or into the sky. Interesting. So that's my witness testimony. Jeremy's looped into all this. When asked if he had choose between the object being something alien or prosaic, he replied, the latter, prosaic. Interesting. An exact date would be very helpful, as then we could see the wind speed and direction, roughly figure around 10 kilometers an hour, around 300 meters. Interesting. Oh my heavens. Interesting. Oh, I muted him. Oh God, Jesus, these guys. I mean, anyway, yeah. Yeah. There's a video where it flies through two people walking and they don't even notice it, which is strange. Maybe if it's a bunch of balloons, David Ormus, they wouldn't care, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah. Google Metabunk Chandelier. Okay. Go to Metabunk, the Metabunk's website. The Chandelier UFO. Mick, administrator. Looks like a diffraction artifact, i.e. glare around a bright light. Ooh. Seems to be a trail leaving behind it. Yes, it does. Ooh, there's another one there. To an image released by CENTCOM regarding a downed U.S. RQ-4A in the Strait of Hormuz. It does, yes. Oh, yeah, there you go. Interesting. This is like a rocket or something, explosion. Oh, holy shit. It's fucking leveled that area. Holy fuck. Man. Oh, it's age restricted. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, I can kind of see what you're getting at. Yeah, it's just kind of similar phenomena. Interesting. Could it still be an alien craft that with enough light it's just diffracting and causing the same phenomena? Could the alien craft, if bright enough, cause a similar phenomena? Good question, I guess. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. We were watching the jellyfish from a weird angle, so wouldn't be surprised if it's much higher than you think and nowhere near the line of sight. Yeah, that's true too, yeah. Interesting. The Giuliani avatar? Yeah, where the fuck? Where was he at? This guy right here. Cool kick. Interesting. No, Mick, the screenshot you took from the lens flare is captured by a classical camera from the ground. Interesting. He's always so sassy. Like, they're all just, I can imagine, like, the interactions on this website would just be fucking so bad. Like, it's just very everyone's just so, this is the level of like sarcasm and fucking. Here we go. Corbell tweeted some info about the image and making claims the object in question has been officially designated by the US government as a UAP. Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely mark of chaos. Very interesting. Yeah. Aliens need to try harder because it looks and moves like a bunch of balloons. Could be, yeah. I mean, aliens could move like a bunch of balloons, though, right? Technically. Aliens could move like balloons. Aliens could move like a bird. Aliens could be birds. Birds could be aliens. Birds could also not be real. We could be living in a simulation. Yeah, potentially. But yeah, I mean, it's where how do we know? We just keep digging, right? Which is I guess what people have to do to get to the bottom of these things. So, yeah, I suppose on the front of 72 triangles hovering. Well, that's exactly, yeah. So some of them aren't, right? And then that's always in the back of your mind with all this. Like myself, you're like, well, even if there's like some prosaic explanation, that could fit the mold, but objectively, is that what is real? It's like, Mick's whole fucking thing with the Tic Tac about being a seagull flying over the sea. It's like, okay, you could make it look like that, but it could also be an anomalous object, right? And he's like, well, what's more likely? It's like, well, considering the eyewitness testimony, not a bird. So then again, when arguing through this incident, end up coming to eyewitness testimony being valuable. Otherwise, it's just like fucking, you're just left in some limbo where you just end up one camp believes one thing, one camp believes another, right? Or is inclined to believe, right? So, yeah. But what else do I have on here about this? Oh, yes. Here, I'll move off of this and on to this. Was something you posted, I think, did you? But this was making rounds and not getting enough attention. Personally saw, this is 23 hours ago. Personally saw a UFO when living out here about 25 years ago. What I saw was a bit different. Red orb that floated unaffected by wind and completely silent. Best I can describe, it moved through the air like a mouse on a desktop. It was linear and totally unaffected by wind. After a short period, it instantly accelerated and disappeared toward the horizon in about 1 second, almost completely silent. Had to be going insane speeds to do that. Coincidentally, there's a Navy air base in the direction it flew toward, but it had to fly way past it to disappear toward the horizon. Interesting. This is 2009. Captured by digital camera along the Highway 41 near Lemoore, California. Raw footage. No audio. Yeah, you did post this, yeah. God damn. I mean, what? Oh, what the fuck? Interesting. Just gone. Just fucking gone. It's got like a dangly thing going on. Some stuff dangling down. Interesting. with contrast enhanced. So it's got like a thing. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. That is fucking... That's an instant transmission fucking Goku level. Like that fucking shit. Was that fucking Goku? Look at this. Holy. Is this made in like After Effects? Potentially. You notice there's a little other orb to the left of it too, huh? Finn, what is this? Have you seen this? Oh, there's multiple things flying around. What the fuck? Look. There's like little thing. Look at all the little black dots flying around. 3 orbs, yeah, flying around it. 2 go into it before it takes off. Oh, and then it retracts even. The object, like, it has the long part, like, comes up. It closes up like a ball, yeah. Then flies away, yeah. Interesting. I feel like I have seen this in the past at some point. Now watching it. Unsure as to, like, the status, but I send it to Ashton. Here are your balls. I have your balls here, Ashton. God damn it. Targeting the primary object. Well, yeah, that's it. Well, that's the thing, man. It's like with the videos for me, I'd like to read the full thread, Jim. Near the title says confirmed hoax. Oh, does it actually? Does it? Title. Oh, they figured it out. Nice. Nice. There you fucking go. Very nice. That's pretty well done though. Like when you see that here, that's pretty fucking good. That's pretty good. And if this is actually from 2009, if it wasn't a more recent, if it's actually 2009 and that was a hoax, that's pretty fucking good. Fuck yeah. God damn. Fuck yeah. I searched the name of the video, found it lists 34 of the videos of the old channel. The videos are deleted now. Interesting. Jesus. This was John Lear's website. 2006, I read up on the NASA moon footage. Interesting. So John Lear had it on his site. Very cool. Interesting. If you want to explore the UFO video hoax rabbit hole, then look up the Carrot Drone UFO. Carrot Drone UFO. Let's see. Is there like videos? New video show apparent similar. What is this now? Is this it here? Carrot alien drones. Daily Motion.
Now, before I get started, I just want to say this one thing. Everything in the video you are about to see is my opinion. Nothing more.
Of course. It can be nothing else.
Hey folks, welcome back to Fantastic Daily, where I make the creepy and unexplained entertaining for all of you at home. Now today, guys, I have got something great for you. It is something of a classic, a little bit of something for the skeptics and the believers alike. And you might think you know all about the photos and stuff that you see here, but trust me, I've been digging in on this, and I think I'm going to blow your minds a little bit. Because strangely, this story intersects in the world of both classified UFO technology and mysterious happenings in and around national parks, and a more global conspiracy that a lot of you don't know about. Now, way back in 2006 and 2007, there were these reports of small, totally silent, unmanned craft that were seen floating in and around neighborhoods in California. Photos like these started appearing, and people definitely had their opinions on whether they were real or fake. Now, some claim they were just like clever CG hoaxes, while others say that they were some of the sharpest UFO photos ever recorded. That if you hate the grainy, like hard to see evidence that we mostly get, these photos were the ones that you would hope to get. And if you did a basic little bit of research on this, you'd hear people saying that it's been debunked, but the fact of the matter is, it has not. Not by MUFON, not by researchers. No one knows exactly what these photos are. But I think I have an idea. These photos were everywhere. They've been reported on by news organizations here in the States as well as overseas. And this was a big deal at the time. And more and more craft sightings have been popping up, not just in California, but all over the country. And strangely, they seem to operate very near state and national parks.
You've mentioned this to me before.
Now, these craft became known as the Dragonfly drones, given their shape and the fact that they weren't like seemingly flown by any occupant, but like piloted remotely by someone or something unseen. But before the debate around these craft died down, a mysterious document dump appeared on the internet. A man who called himself Isaac claimed to have knowledge of these craft after seeing them on the news. And Isaac kind of like thought of himself as a whistleblower about a program known as Carrot. And before I dive into the Carrot program, I want to say this, that Isaac's whistleblower documents existed on a website that is no longer available. Everything that you see here is like the archived versions of the same material, and Isaac freely gave away this info in the documents with the one copy.
So is this just like a fucking troll?
Or presented outside of the entire document set. That basically Isaac did what many whistleblowers do today, which is he said that if you want to share this graphical user interface that both Apple and Microsoft stole. The Dragonfly drones was something altogether different. That it was this stuff, the writing, or as Isaac refers to it, the language. Now, this language stuff, it is super interesting and really, really complicated. So humans put words together to form larger meaning in text. And take note that I said hold and not represent because...
So this guy just fell for the whole fucking thing, I guess, right? How they don't fit the decades-long patterns of compelling UFO witness accounts. They just appear around 2009 from witnesses we never identified and disappear a hoax 100% in my opinion. Like Skinny Bob did, it's amazing, but the artist never reveals himself. That's true, yeah. Yeah, fuck, it's... So has this confirmed to be a hoax? Like those images are 100% CG. I can see those images being CG. Like I just don't see it, yeah. Yeah. What is linked to this video? I'll link it in the chat, guys. Daily Motion. How many views does it have on it? Yeah. There we go. Welcome. What's up? Interesting. More creepy videos. Yeah, I mean,
unlike our computer code that is like software that requires hardware to run, their language, it doesn't need hardware. This is like a wild idea, but it is simply being run just by existing. Now, I know, like I said, a very wild idea. I encourage you to read up on it for more. The computer company, that they created the entire story as a marketing campaign for their new computer. And you can see in the press photos here that the language looks very, very similar.
Fuck yeah.
The contention about Alienware having created this, it got so heated that their PR department actually responded. Alienware did not create the information regarding this phenomena or the Carrot linguistics.
Man, I don't know. Like, they fucking might have, though. Like, that'd be sick. So that is the stuff that's on the drone there, and then where the fuck was the Alienware? Yeah, bro, that's fucking identical. Or that's what's inside of the computer, sorry. So they're saying it's similar to the language that was being used. Man, I don't fucking know. Yeah. Oh, did it actually? Oh my god. The Carrot drone and the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Holy fuck, yeah. Yeah. I see. This is an obscure one. I was not even aware of this. I was not even aware this was a fucking thing. Modus operandi.
We can use what we know about their work to kind of create like a methodology, a fingerprint, to compare against other paranormal.
There are so many rabbit holes that people can go down with stuff. It's like picking and choosing which one you want to jump down, I guess. Like, I picked mine a long time ago, but yeah, it is a rabbit hole. Different people come away with different conclusions. For me, it stinks of a very good hoax by a very dedicated troll. Yeah, and it's the thing. It's like, never underestimate like the lengths that someone will go just to fucking troll. Like, even if there isn't money involved, like that. The Skinny Bob footage is something I always thought was interesting. Obviously, admittedly, parts of it look fake. Like, clearly, some movements look like CG, but. It was confounding that, like, you know, that the opinion of some people when it came out, effects artists, was like that, this wouldn't have been cheap to make, probably. And it's like no one claimed it. And typically the meme was that someone would claim it at some point or push it. And so somebody put a bit of an investment in for no return. And or this is just somebody that had access to like some assets. Maybe they worked in like film or something, worked for Hollywood, and this is just kind of a pet project they were doing just to see how it would explode. And like secretly they know they're the person that did this. And now everybody believes it and like, oh my God. Like there's a lot of like reasons you could to satisfy your ego to fucking go and do something like that and watch it blow up. And it would kind of be fun, honestly. But yeah, man. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like there's been so many of them over the years. I mean, even legitimate footage. I mean, the spirals was a huge. I remember back in Above Top Secret back in the day. But spiral in the sky, Norway. This was one I remember. That was a talk of the town. This one here. This was years ago, but this was on Above Top Secret. And people were convinced that this was a sign of the end times because I've shown them here before, but these are all over the world, these strange spirals. And, what's an explanation for that? Is it's a sign of an impending apocalypse? I mean, there's a million different reasons why someone might draw a fucking spiral, ultimately. And then what this turned out to be, which is very interesting, is actually a missile fired from a Russian submarine that went into some kind of unstable launch and started spiraling. And then it made this unique kind of effect in the sky. And it was funny because there were a group of people involved with debunking this very early on, like the day after this happened. On Above Top Secret, a group of guys figured it out, and they were probably some of the first. I remember the thread where they kind of connected that this is probably a missile, and that's turned out to be what it was. But there were a lot of people that believed that this was some strange phenomena that cropped up, that like this was some woo thing, and I thought it was very interesting. Like I was like, "Fuck, this is so crazy!" Like. But over time, you had to kind of sit back and be like, okay, well, yeah, this is kind of what it looks like. This is what it is literally, because there are other examples of this happening, actually. And since this, there have been other examples. SpaceX has done this a couple times to people, actually. It's just kind of a little tidbit of this stuff happening, of strange things happening, that are confounding, and then kind of there were people that were using this as a way to claim the world's about to end. When did this happen? It was in like 2011, maybe 2009. So 2012 is in the horizon. People were saying that this is the beginning of the end times. People were saying that like this is Nibiru coming back. There are people saying that this was aliens about to come back. Like there were groups of people that were trying to use this as evidence that like, and there were people that were all in on it, and it's like in the end that's not what was going on. So yeah, the time traveling hipster thing, and it went viral, but it was genuinely curious whether or not at the time. Oh, interesting. I know there was Buddy, what was his name again? It wasn't Vigor, it was Titter. John Titter was something that I thought was kind of cool. I have to be honest, I didn't really buy it, but I thought the idea was cool because, technically speaking, it may be possible for somebody to travel back in time. So, yeah. Oh, the TR-3B, fuck. People just couldn't believe it was a rocket. Yeah, they were saying no spinning rocket would be that geometrical, but they were just wrong. Yeah, it's exactly, yeah. And it turned out in actual fact that, yeah, they can be. I think of social awareness of what's rocket plume. Yeah. Still posting the UFO thread on Reddit. Picks of star lengths. I have no clue what it is. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, again, people that aren't acquainted with this kind of stuff. I mean, it's crazy as a culture, species, like the level of ignorance some of us have. And not that I'm an expert with like constellations and like sky watching and stuff like that, but it's like we just have no idea. I mean, even when people go out, and honestly, it's only been a couple times in my life, which is very sad, that I have been out and seen an unpolluted night sky. without light pollution. Where I live in New Brunswick, when you go to the northern parts of the province, there is like nobody. And you can see a night sky without any light pollution. And it is truly mesmerizing. Like it's crazy, especially on a really clear night. In the winter too, the sky gets like really clear. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And there's a lot of people in the inner cities like that have never seen that. And so they have no idea. Right. And I wonder about that, about like people in the past, like who saw that every fucking night. Like that perspective was just there in front of them every night. Although tragically back then they didn't know what they're probably fucking looking at. The Greeks probably had an idea, you know, but like other cultures, just I don't know if they really had any concept. But then, you know, it's kind of funny as we became more technological and really began to like appreciate what we might have been looking at, we started to lose it, right? At least people within the cities, right? Who aren't like wealthy enough to go take vacations to like remote places and experience the night sky and its raw natural habitat. Yeah. John Titter. Yeah, I John Titter was fucking, that was really interesting. Yeah. Oh, can you actually? Yeah. There occasionally, well, it happened recently where the northern lights were down fairly low, like down at our latitude here, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, really. The question is very polluted. Yeah. Yeah. The fact that it's read if I was discussing the way it really, yeah. 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 Fuck. It's, yeah. I would love to do more sky watching, UFO watching, stuff like that. You know, that'd be so sick. I'll have to take a trip up this summer to the northern part of the province. I wish I could stream something like that. You need probably like a fucking like $1 million camera to actually capture like a night sky and all its beauty, like live stream. We'd never be able to fucking do that. But yeah, that'd be sick though. Fuck yeah. What I wanted to get on to now, which is something I genuinely want to watch actually, is supposedly a very interesting conversation that Tucker had with a astrophysicist. And it has to do with global warming. And there's a little tidbit in here that I thought was very interesting that I've spoken about before, which is one of these things that, you know, our culture is kind of forgotten, I guess. We've come, there are some things out in the world that are still just theories that I think some people think are like proven facts that are in fact not. And one of those things is the idea of fossil fuels, and the name implying that these fuels are from fossils and decaying plant matter, oil, right? But in actual fact, it may be more than just decaying plant material. They may be a combination of decaying material and petrochemicals from potentially celestial sources like comets, maybe. And these fuels are in space. They're all throughout space. The precursor to oil are these petrochemicals. They have been known to have been found in the tails of comets, and there is a mystery that is not talked about anymore, probably for good reason. But there is a mystery that there have been petrochemicals found all over the moon, as well as rust. And that is a bit of a conundrum. There are some explanations out there. It's not an explanation. They are theories as to how this can happen. But one theory is that there is something or some things that periodically dust the moon and the earth with these petrochemicals and these like hydrocarbons and rust as well. And there are stories in the past, many actually, of this happening. Of great firestorms happening on the planet, in the sky, raining down on the people. Tar raining down onto people, right? Coinciding with the firestorms. So this was interesting, this conversation then. I'm curious as to how deep he gets into this. Probably not that deep. But there were a lot of people. Manny Velikovsky brought this up. He wasn't a scientist. He was a psychologist and a, philosopher of sorts. And this was something that was a big deal back in the 50s, and people studying back in the 50s and the 60s, younger people who read his work who then, became accredited and got jobs, still followed his work into the 70s. There were lots of people in NASA that were fairly convicted there was something to Velikovsky's claims and findings. And they, when engaging in the Apollo missions, decided to look for some of this stuff on the moon, and they ended up finding it. Fortunately, they didn't really take Velikovsky seriously enough, because he had told them when they went to mark in what direction it was deposited, and they didn't think they were going to find anything actually, and then they did, and then they regretted not doing that. So anyway, yeah, that's the thing. I know, same though, right? Like, Tucker, I was not, back in the day, I remember like watching debates with with Jon Stewart would debate him, and Tucker is like a very fundamentally religious guy, and he just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but he seems to matured quite a bit. Like, he's just kind of after the truth, and he seems very humbled, honestly. Probably his true character kind of coming through a little bit more. So I thought I would play this. I think it'd be kind of interesting.
We often refer to our main sources of energy as fossil fuels. Oil, natural gas, coal, they're fossil fuels because they come from fossils, ancient organic material, forests, jungles, plankton, dinosaurs. Held under the ground for millennia, they transform into oil, gas, and coal. Everybody thinks that's true. On the other hand, there's evidence that maybe it's not the whole story. If that's where fossil fuels come from, if that's how hydrocarbons are made, then how come they're found so deep under the oceans and at the top of the Earth? How come one of Saturn's moons, according to scientists, has more oil and natural gas than Earth? Were there dinosaurs and planktons and forests at one point on one of Saturn's moons? Probably not. So if all hydrocarbons aren't from fossils, where are they from? And why isn't this commonly known? And what are the implications of it? And what does it tell us about our modern climate change policy? These are not just esoteric questions, they're central questions, actually, as we chart the future of energy usage in the world. Willie Soon has been thinking about this for a long time. He's an astrophysicist, a geoscientist. He spent 31 years at Harvard. He recently left, and he joins us here. Dr. Soon, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tucker.
I appreciate it.
It's a blessing to be able to come on your show.
Well, it's a blessing to have you. And this is such an interesting question with so many implications.
Yes.
And I want to spend most of our time talking about the implications. But just to the strict question of where hydrocarbons come from, it sounds like they're not necessarily all from ancient forests or plankton or dinosaurs, are they?
Yes.
Y-Files is on. Oh, shit. Is it interesting? Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Probably should watch that.
Law
All right.
is an SUV made to move your family.
I'll save the Tucker thing for another time. I forgot they were going to be on today, actually. I'll just scroll it back slightly.
Angel Falls, I give you Christmas.
But the Ocean X team finally had it.
We'll pull it back. Oh, he's not that far into it. Oh, thank God. Here we go. He just literally started. We just get to skip the ad. Perfect. Here we go.
And Dennis Orsberg were treasure hunting in the Gulf of Bothnia in the Baltic Sea. Peter had made a name for himself a few years earlier when he discovered Orsberg were treasure hunting in the Gulf of Bothnia in the Baltic Sea. Peter had made a name for himself a few years earlier when he discovered a merchant ship that was sunk by German U-boats in World War I. The wreck was loaded with hundreds of bottles of rare cognac and brandy. The bottles were sold at auction for $20,000 each in today's money. That was enough of a nest egg for Peter to launch Ocean X, a deep-sea exploration company, professional treasure hunters. Peter and Dennis knew the ocean floor beneath the busy shipping lanes of the Baltic were loaded with prizes. To this day, 2 or 3 dozen ships go missing every year. Many of those disappear in the Baltic. They were on a routine survey mission when their sonar got a hit. Everyone on the ship gathered around the machine to see what they discovered. The sonar slowly started to paint a picture. They couldn't tell what it was. A merchant ship? A submarine? Was it anything of value? When the image finally finished processing, it revealed a circular object that didn't look natural. It looked man-made. Well, maybe not man-made. It looked like a UFO.
Oh, he looks like the aluminum falcon.
Millennium Falcon.
What'd I say?
It was 200 feet wide and was lying at the end of a channel. Whatever this object was, it looked like it had hit the water and slid hundreds of feet across the sea floor. The object appeared to have a hull with chambers and sections with straight lines and right angles. Peter and Dennis gave the crew orders. Don't say anything about the object until they figure out what it is.
Snitches get stitches.
Well, they were just trying to protect the site. They didn't want...
Snitches get stitches.
Fine.
Rules of the street, rules of the sea.
Anyway, they studied the image for weeks and were stumped. Finally, they decided to go public. The image went viral and landed in every newspaper and every broadcast in the world.
Buckle up, Star Wars nerds. You're gonna like this one.
What can only be described as the wreckage of a crashed spaceship.
The genie was out of the bottle. There was no going back.
They came across something unusual.
Now everyone on Earth knew something mysterious was happening at the bottom of the Baltic. The hope was all that media coverage would help finance a return expedition to the site. If they could get back there, they'd dive to the object. They'd map the entire area in 3D. So the team started pitching investors and sponsors. Sponsors wanted to know, is this an alien craft? We don't know. Is it a natural formation? We don't know. Maybe it's proof of the lost city of Atlantis. Well, it's not Atlantis.
No, why not?
Well, because in 1968, Atlantis was already found.
Well, this is an interesting one. I'm curious as to where he's going to go with it, though.
In June 1938, Edgar Casey lay back on his couch and closed his eyes.
Of course he's
After
going
a
back
few
to
minutes
it.
of deep breathing, he started mumbling, then forming full sentences. He was in a trance. Edgar Casey was called the Sleeping Prophet because this was his process. He went into a deep state of relaxation like sleep and had visions of the past, present, and future. Casey gave thousands of readings where he predicted future events, and many of these came true. He predicted the stock market crash of 1929. He predicted the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. He saw the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler. He predicted laser technology before anyone knew what that was. During this particular reading in 1938, Casey was interested in the ocean, specifically the lost city of Atlantis. Atlantis was made famous by Plato, who described the island nation in his works Timaeus and Critias. Plato described Atlantis as a powerful island nation with advanced technology. Then there was a cataclysm. Volcanoes, tsunamis, and a global flood destroyed Atlantis. It's been lying at the bottom of the ocean somewhere ever since. Officially, the story of Atlantis is considered an allegory, Plato's warning about the hubris of powerful nations. However, many people believe that Atlantis was a real place. Plato said he heard the story from his grandfather, who had heard it from the Athenian statesman Solon. Solon learned of Atlantis from an Egyptian priest who said Atlantis was destroyed 9,000 years before. That timeline lines up nicely with the global flood at the end of the Younger Dryas, about 13,000 years ago. During Edgar Casey's psychic reading, he confirmed that Atlantis was a real place. He said it was a large island nation in the Bahamas. He predicted that evidence of Atlantis would be found there. Specifically, he said evidence of Atlantis would be found in the area of Bimini in the Bahamas in 1968. 30 years later, in 1968, divers were exploring the area of Bimini when they saw something on the ocean floor that stood out from the surrounding landscape. It was a series of monoliths, giant stone blocks arranged in a line. Each block was a rectangular piece of limestone about 13 feet long, 3 feet high, and 9 feet across, and each weighing several tons. The line of stones looked like a wall, or more like a road. Bimini Road extends for half a mile. During the last ice age, the Earth's sea level was 300 feet lower. The islands of the Bahamas were one very large island, and Bimini Road would have run right through the middle of it. If you look at ancient maps like the Piri-Reis map, you can see the Bahamas not depicted as a bunch of small islands. It's shown as a single large island, and running right through the middle, something that looks just like Bimini Road. Bimini Road has spawned all kinds of theories, especially since it's connected to an Edgar Casey prediction that came true. Some say this was Atlantis, and Bimini Road is a remnant of the city's ancient harbor. This also shows that Atlanteans had advanced construction technology, just like Plato said. Other psychics say Bimini Road emits an unusual energy that produces visions and healing powers. I can't confirm that, but Edgar Cayce did. Ufologists think Bimini Road might have been a landing zone for spacecraft, or possibly a portal to a different dimension.
Jesus.
This portal, they say, still opens and closes on a regular basis. In 1997, deep-sea engineer Joseph Mason was diving Bimini when he saw a large square door open on the side of a stone block. The door led to an underground passage, but his compass started failing and the corridor disappeared. There have been strange electromagnetic readings above Bimini, sometimes causing instruments to go crazy. Is this evidence of portals or maybe something else? Remember, Bimini Road is in the Bermuda Triangle. In the 1970s, divers claimed to have seen more stones aligned into more roads, but those structures have since vanished. There's still no consensus about what Bimini Road is. If it's a natural formation, it's unlike anything ever discovered. But while skeptics and believers debated Bimini Road, the Ocean X team was out raising money, trying to finance another trip to the UFO, the Baltic Sea anomaly. It took a year, but they raised the money. So now it's time we go back to the Baltic. It took a year of pitching investors and sponsors, but the Ocean X team finally had enough money for another expedition. Deep sea diving is expensive. At that time, it cost about 20,000 euros a day. They had 120,000 in total. That means they'd have less than a week to find the vessel. And they're already off to a rough start. A storm forced the ship to find shelter in the surrounding islands. Waiting out a storm is throwing money away, money they can't afford to lose. The following morning, their luck turns, and they've got clear skies and gentle seas. They begin scanning the area, looking for the craft. But they have to be careful. They're running radio silent, cell phones off, no connection to the outside world. The media frenzy created a lot of interest in the Baltic Sea anomaly. But it was in international waters, which means anybody can take a shot at it. They had to be careful and avoid being tracked.
Snitches get...
I got it.
Stitches.
After ducking a Navy ship, they dropped the fish in the water. This is side-scanning sonar. It paints a two-dimensional image of the ocean floor. They also use a multi-beam echo sounder. This emits sound waves that create a three-dimensional image of the seabed. But then they hit another snag. They lost their sonar. Something was interfering with the equipment.
Yeah, UFO jamming their stuff.
That's a theory. They dropped an ROV in the water to try and track their gear. An ROV is a remotely operated underwater vehicle. Basically, it's a small submarine with a camera and a grabbing arm. Somehow, they find the sonar cable and they repair it. But this costs them a lot of time and morale is low. 48 hours later, they find the object. It's 300 feet down. That's deep and dangerous. So the ROV goes first, and they get the first close-up images of the anomaly. They see straight edges and what looks like concrete. Sonar shows a perfectly round hole about 10 feet wide, and it's surrounded by a square frame. Nature doesn't produce perfect geometry like this. They're excited to get down there and see the object with their own eyes. But they're getting strange temperature readings. The water is about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, but the water right above the vessel is below freezing.
Well, how is that possible?
Well, they don't know. Then a fog rolls in. This makes deep diving very dangerous. They get the feeling that something wants to keep them away. Still, they decide to dive. After descending 300 feet down, they arrive at the object. It feels like concrete. They touch it and the material turns black. They want to get in a few more dives but are out of time and money. Diving 300 feet means you need to take about 90 minutes to return to the surface. You have to ascend slowly to give your body time to readjust to the pressure. Return to the surface too fast and you can rupture a lung or worse. They have to turn back. And they have another problem. Their 3D scan is incomplete, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Oh no.
But they brought hammers and chisels on their dive. They managed to chip off pieces of the object. So they return to port and send the samples to a lab, hoping someone can tell them, what the hell is this thing?
God damn. 300 feet, it doesn't, I guess
when
that
Christopher
is far
Columbus
down.
sailed across the Atlantic in search of a new route to India, he found something else. And it wasn't the New World. Well, he did find that, but he found something else first. Like every good captain, Columbus kept a journal of the entire voyage. His full journal is available and it's worth reading. But there's one specific entry that stands out.
1492, October 11th, 10th p.m. I and Pedro Gutierrez, while on the deck of the Santa Maria, observed a light glimmering at a great distance. It vanished and reappeared several times during the night, moving up and down in sudden and passing gleams. It was sighted for 4 hours.
Columbus saw a UFO?
He did. Well, technically, he saw a USO, unidentified submerged object. Columbus made his first landfall the next day, which means he had his UFO sighting while he was in the Bermuda Triangle. There have been sightings of underwater lights ever since. In 1644, the mayor of Boston saw 2 bright lights rise out of the water. In 1873, the Adelheid sailed over something in the South China Sea that lit up the ocean for over an hour. They said it looked like a Ferris wheel. In 1879, the HMS Vulture saw a large Ferris wheel spinning in the ocean. In 1880, commander of the SS Shah Jahan described a massive Ferris wheel under a calm sea near India's coast. Later that year, another ship with the British India Company saw the same object. They said it was 300 yards long. Those are just a few of the many reports of this object. There are reports of the same Ferris wheel type craft that span 200 years. Whatever objects are in our oceans, they've been here for a very, very long time. Since the early 1900s, professional sailors...
Yeah, you mean seaman?
Yes.
Say it.
No. Since the early 1900s, professional sailors and Navy men have seen lights in the water, and in some cases, craft emerge from the ocean. AWTEC is the Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center. This is a highly secret Navy facility located within the Bermuda Triangle. It opened in 1967, and it's in a remote location in the Bahamas near very deep water. At AWTEC, the Navy tests all kinds of equipment, including advanced weapons. It's been called the Navy's Area 51.
Holy fuck.
Former employees of AWTEC base have reported mile-wide craft silently emerging from the sea. They create no sound. They make no waves or splash when going in or out of the water.
31 knots sustained wind, topside, gust of 40.
What was splashed? Splashed. Mark bearing and range.
The USOs are strange enough, but the fact that they don't disturb the water is mind-boggling. No scientist has come up with an explanation for this. One researcher said that there's a force field around the craft that's a vacuum, which is why there's no wind or water resistance.
In front of the machine, they opened vacuum space. This is why they need this tunnel. This is why they are never wet.
Now, I don't think that works. A vacuum flying through the clouds or into water would still disrupt it. The only thing that makes sense to me, which makes no sense at all, is that UAPs are somehow interdimensional.
I don't know what that is. That is some weird
So they exist in our universe, but they can pass through solid objects as if their physical matter is out of phase with ours. But we do, allegedly, have recovered craft. These are objects we can touch. So maybe this phase shift only happens when the engines are running. Or maybe anti-gravity technology makes a craft impervious to air and water friction. I really don't know. But there are more and more videos out there of UFOs shooting into and out of the water without disturbing a drop. This is clearly an important piece of their technology.
If what we are witnessing is a true trans-medium vehicle, a vehicle that can penetrate that barrier between air and sea or air and space without destruction, then we're looking at a propulsion system that is so far advanced, it's beyond next generation technology. So we're probably looking at, and what it is
He's more convincing with the wizard beard, I have to say.
Is a gravitational propulsion system,
I'm
a
more mesmerized.
non-reactionary propulsion system.
In the late 1980s, Gulf Breeze, Florida, not far from the secret Navy facility, made global headlines. Local resident Ed Walters photographed a glowing acorn-shaped craft hovering above his neighborhood. His images triggered a wave of UFO sightings in the area, with hundreds of witnesses reporting similar encounters. Skeptics accused Walters of hoaxing the photos via double exposure, but analysis showed no sign of manipulation, only an ominous, unidentified object. Walters' photos are still some of the most compelling I've ever seen.
Thing is real. It can't be no balloon.
That's the way
no
it
balloon, man. No balloon. That is real. That's a real thing, dude. That is the real thing. Where the hell did it go? Gone, man. Gone.
The Earth is covered by so much water, and so much of it is unexplored, that it seems obvious that aliens, or whoever is controlling these craft, would use the ocean as a way to stay hidden. In fact, there's a researcher who says there's a whole network of tunnels running under the ocean floor. These tunnels connect to large alien bases, and the locations of those bases are not going to surprise you.
Oh, yeah. Now, what research has he done to come to that conclusion, I guess?
Cuban ufologist Maximilian de Lafayette is a leading proponent of the undersea alien tunnels theory. He gets his information from sources in the military and NASA.
Oh, yeah.
He claims there's a vast network of tunnels beneath the seabed. UAPs use these to move quickly from one part of the Earth to the other. Within this tunnel network are hubs which contain large bases, 12 bases to be exact, and they're all over the world: South America, Russia, Japan, and there are bases in places you'd expect. Like several in the Bermuda Triangle, there's a base in the Baltic Sea.
Near the aluminum falcon.
Yes, there. And there's a major base in Alaska.
Mount Hayes.
Yes, under Mount Hayes. Remember we covered Joseph McMoneagle in the episode about Project 8200?
Yes.
That was a secret CIA program that used psychic spies to remote view locations around the world. Joe and other psychics saw alien bases in Mount Hayes and other mountains. They also saw a lot of alien activity underwater. Joe specifically said that USOs were very busy around the US Navy's base in the Bahamas.
I've remote viewed for every major intelligence agency in America. I did see some USOs that were operating within the vicinity of Autech.
After researching this topic, it's obvious we need a full episode on alien underwater bases. So if you want to see that, let me know. There's so much more to cover. All right, last thing on this. A few months ago on the After Files, I covered a fascinating 4chan post.
4chan.
I know, 4chan is 4chan. But this person, who claimed to be a former contractor for the Department of Defense, was very believable. He says there's a large alien base underwater in the Bermuda Triangle. The reason planes and boats disappear is because they get too close to the base. In fact, he says the Navy knows where this base is, and they specifically avoid it. The alien base can move. The Navy sees them move and they set up a new no-go zone. He said that one plane strayed too close and disintegrated into dust. But here are the bullet points. The US military believes the base has been there for a long time. At first they thought a few hundred years, but now they believe the base goes back to at least 4000 BC. It might even be older, though he says there's an internal debate on this.
So what the hell is it?
Well, the base is a huge construction facility used to develop and deploy UFOs. They're here for research and resources. The military believes the base is operated by some kind of AI, not necessarily a sentient being or group of beings. The aliens, or whoever's in charge of the base, they don't really care about humans. The only time they'll get involved is if we start messing around with nuclear weapons. And we've seen UFOs appear on film of nuclear tests in the past. There's even that story of something shutting down a US nuclear missile facility. Here's how the base works. It decides it wants to survey some area of the Earth. Then, using raw materials within the base, a craft is constructed specifically for that purpose. The craft is built around whatever equipment is needed. If the base is going on a survey mission, it creates the necessary scanning gear. That package is then wrapped in a vehicle. The vehicle is deployed from the ocean. It goes on its mission, it gathers data, then the craft returns to the base, and the whole thing is broken back down again into raw materials.
It's nice they recycle.
Well, It's their planet.
So no aliens? Just spaceships that don't go to space?
Nope, there are aliens.
Yes, fin bump.
No, thank you.
Come on, fin bump for aliens. There you go.
And the ships do go to space, but rarely. They're here for Earth and a little bit of the moon. Again, different episode. Anyway, this whistleblower claims that the aliens are the Greys, and they're not fully sentient. The government believes they're drones or possibly even clones. They're grown as needed for mission support, just like the UFOs are built to be mission specific. Now that I think of it, we could do a whole episode just on this post. YouTube won't let me link to 4chan.
Smart.
But let me know if you want to see a full episode on all the details. He has a lot more to say. He talks about the materials they used to build, the power sources, different technologies that we've reverse engineered, lots of stuff. A lot of what he says is corroborated by other whistleblowers like Bob Lazar and even David Grush. Now, it could all be a hoax, but hoax or not, it's a really fun read. And speaking of hoaxes, we have to finish our story about the Baltic Sea anomaly.
Oh no.
Speaking of hoaxes. Yeah.
Peter and Dennis from Ocean X brought up samples of the Baltic Sea anomaly and sent them to a lab. It was just rock, no metals detected at all, so that rules out an alien ship. The rock was found to be volcanic, which is strange. There isn't volcanic activity in the area. The theory then changed from UFO to underground structure, maybe a temple or a building. There are features on the anomaly that do look man-made or unnatural, but the closer you look, the more it looks like nothing more than a weird rock. Now, on the internet, there are lots of fun photos and images and even video of the Baltic Sea anomaly, but none of them are real. The only actual image is that first sonar image taken in 2011. Sonar expert Hanumat Singh weighed in and said that the image isn't great.
If you look carefully, you can see a reflection of the circular formation on the right side of the image. Since side-scan sonar is taken with two instruments that bounce acoustic waves in opposite directions from the boat, a feature on one side shouldn't affect the image on the other side.
He says the reflections are caused by electrical crosstalk. This means the sonar wasn't wired properly. Singh calls this strike one, and he has more to say.
The black horizontal lines going through the image show that sonar signals are dropping out. That is, the instruments aren't detecting them, further calling the measurements into question.
A clean, properly wired sonar wouldn't have those lines. We'd have a clean image. That's not the case with the Baltic Sea anomaly. Singh calls this strike two.
Finally, the edges of the image, just beyond the circular formation, are gray, meaning the sonar couldn't tell what was there. That shows the sonar isn't calibrated well enough to trust. That's strike three.
The Ocean X team has been attacked and accused of hoaxing the whole thing. It was suspicious that when they went back the following year, they had equipment failure. Remember, they lost their sonar, and their 3D imaging was incomplete. Skeptics say this is too convenient, and people started calling it a scam. Now, Peter and Dennis spent a lot of time trying to raise money to go back, but they couldn't find the support. They blame the media for this.
I agree. Blame the media.
You don't even know what the media did.
Oh, let me guess. They jumped to conclusions without checking the facts?
Okay, so you do know what the media did.
Not my first rodeo, Chief.
After it was discovered that there was no metal, the media went hard on the Ocean X team. They called it a scam. Every time the team pitched investors, they were turned down. Nobody wanted to sponsor a potential hoax. Peter has distanced himself from the whole thing. He was tired of being called a con man. Now, in defense of the guys, they did go back to the site a few years ago with an ROV, and there's more footage of it. They claim they found possible writing or hieroglyphics on the side of one of the stones. And it could be, it's too hard to tell. As of 2020, experts believe the Baltic Sea anomaly is a piece of volcanic rock that was pushed in place by a glacier. That's why there's a channel behind it. Now, everyone admits it does look strange. It doesn't look natural. But until a serious, well-funded dive team goes down there and spends a lot of time studying it, we'll never know. Dennis posted on his YouTube page just a few weeks ago that he's had a rough year with this and other projects. He had a Russian shipwreck dive scheduled, but the war derailed his plans, and he still can't find financial support to go back to the Baltic Sea object. He thinks this is a shame and a waste, and I don't disagree. Unfortunately, investors want a return on their money. The Baltic Sea anomaly doesn't have a financial upside.
Yeah, unless it's one of the greatest discoveries in history.
Well, it may be a great discovery, but there's no profit in it, so there's no support. That's why nobody's gone back to the moon. No profit.
Nobody ever went to the moon.
Look, I don't want to get
Nobody ever went to the moon, and I'm not gonna tell you again.
Promise?
Don't make me fin slap you.
As for Bimini Road, the mainstream view is it's a natural formation. It's just beach rock that happened to arrange itself in that way.
In a perfect line, half a mile long.
Well, that's the mainstream view.
The mainstream is full of
Watch your mouth. But you're right. The mainstream is often wrong. The Bimini Road looks man-made to me. Unfortunately, there's no way to date the rock, so we don't know how long it's been down there. Whether it's connected to Atlantis or not, nobody knows. There are no other objects or structures in the area, at least none confirmed. Now, there is that sunken city off the coast of Cuba that could be thousands of years old. And if the sea level was 300 feet lower, that whole area could have held a huge civilization. But again, no solid evidence, only speculation.
I love speculation.
I know you do.
It's a living.
The last thing we covered are underwater bases and the USOs.
No, don't debunk those.
I can't.
Oh, thank goodness. We lose subscribers when you do that.
Now, we can and should be skeptical about posts on
Probably
4chan and
100%
Reddit.
true.
They make for good reading, but that's not evidence. But we have plenty of statements from witnesses who've seen objects going in and out of the water. And by now, we've all seen footage of UFOs flying over and into the ocean. Now, there isn't a lot of physical evidence of actual underwater bases, but just a few months ago, an interesting image hit the news. It's an underwater scan near Catalina Island off the coast of California. Tim Gallaudet, a former admiral who is one of the Navy's top oceanography experts, says this scan is worth investigating. Now, this is an admiral, not just a sailor.
Seaman.
Stop it. The admiral saw the image and says there's no natural explanation for it, and it could be an entrance to an underwater or underground base.
I think it's about time that we do disclose that we are in contact with non-human intelligence. That's what needs to be put out there in the public.
Catalina has been a UFO hotspot for years. That's where the USS Nimitz was in 2004 when a pilot chased a UFO for miles. We've all seen this footage. The admiral says there's a lack of scientific curiosity from the military when it comes to UFOs. And he's right. Congress just passed a defense bill that includes language that gives the American people full transparency and access to the government's information on UFOs. Now, you already knew this. The news called it the UAP Disclosure Bill. But did you know that the Pentagon stripped all the language regarding disclosure from the bill? Now, as always, they can remove anything regarding UFOs if the information is considered a matter of national security.
So, that could be anything.
Anything. The Department of Defense can hide, cover up, redact, classify, or even destroy any evidence of UFOs they want, anytime they want.
No!
Yep. Tim Burchett, a Republican congressman from Tennessee, wrote the disclosure amendment. He said, and I quote, "We got ripped off. We got completely hosed. They stripped out every part." Burchett's a Republican, so it was Democrats that hosed us, right? Nope, it was Republicans. Oh, so Republicans are the problem, right? Nope, our Democrat Senate and Democrat President signed it.
Uniparty.
Uniparty. People ask me all the time about disclosure. Are we close? Are they finally going to tell us? And they hate it when I tell them, no, they're not. Congressman Burchett and Admiral Gallaudet are right. The Pentagon, the military intelligence complex, the shadow government, whatever you want to call it, they're not curious about UFOs. They're not curious about what they are. They're not curious about why they're here. They're not curious at all. I think the reason for this lack of curiosity is clear. Why be curious about something you already know?
Amen, brother. Amen.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. My name is AJ. You know Hecklefish.
Yeah, what's kicking, sexy chicken?
Right.
This has been the Wi-Files. If you had fun or learned anything, do him a favor, like, subscribe, comment,
It was
share.
alright. I
That
don't
stuff
know. I thought it
really
was
makes the
okay.
spins wiggle. Like most topics we cover here, today's is recommended by you. So if there's a story you'd like to see,
Underwater bases and shit. He covered the 4chan stuff. It's interesting. It's kind of. Did he cover the EBO science thing on Reddit? They were very. The 4chan one obviously was a little bit more schizo. Buddy was dying of liver cancer in that one, but the EBO scientist posts are very, very good. Yeah.
We all
Do
need
you think
that.
so, Train
Check
Beast?
out
Is
our
that what you
Discord.
was that what you
There are
imagine?
Thousands of people on there, 24/7.
Fuck yeah, yeah.
Sometimes longer, and they're into the same.
Yeah. Oh, did he?
It's a
Okay.
great
Yeah.
community, It's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and it's free to join.
What are they at now? 3.17 million. Jesus. Kill it though.
That's our
Good,
production
it's good
calendar.
stuff. It's very
You'll see our
entertaining, that's for sure.
podcasts,
Yeah.
Our live streams and what
Yeah.
episodes are coming your way. And special
Yeah,
thanks to our
everybody goes,
Patreon
oh, yeah,
who
fuck,
make
yeah.
it all possible.
Go to the after
Every
files,
episode of
see
the
what
Live
he's
Files is
saying.
dedicated to our Patreon members.
Oh
Without
God,
you
no,
guys, there would be
yeah.
no channel.
He is
I don't
live.
deserve your support, but I am
This
grateful
is the
for it.
live thing right
Love you.
now. Oh, he's. Oh, you're right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh God. Yeah, I know that. I think that's it there, Train Beast. I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, and that'll probably be it for me as well. Throwing the towel there. I'll have to watch this again at some point. Yeah, but what's he talking about? He's just talking about fucking.
I feel like we haven't been here in a while. Have we? Do I hear Gino? Do I hear Gino behind me?
9,600 people watching.
I don't know what's
Jesus
going on in
Christ.
his
There
office,
you
but
go.
it sounds illegal. All right, who's going? Who's here? Hello, Tanya Dickinson.
glasses.
Good to see you. Woot Woot says Jake. Yo, from Brett
Jesus.
Dozer.
Big money.
Hi,
huh?
Silent Shot. Kathy D is here. Yambo. Kelly Ryan. Scorpuana. Always good to see you.
Wow.
Nice shirt. Every time I wear this in one of the sponsor ads, we sell a bunch of these.
Oh yeah. How many people are in
And
the chat?
I think
Yeah,
this
no,
was one of our first shirts.
point, yeah.
Illuminati. It's
Nice.
one of the first times I wore this for a sponsor read. We sent the commercial to the sponsor, and they didn't like the shirt. They thought it was a little too off color, so they asked if we could blur it, and we said nah, nah. So they buckled.
Interesting. Yeah. Very cool. Very, very cool. Drawing Physics, welcome. You come just as I end. Maybe. You'll have to find out, I guess. But for this stream, this is where it ends. But thank you, everybody, for coming around. Did you say it was his wife, Jim? That's what I heard. That's what I thought, Finn. But I might be wrong on that. You can watch this Joe Rogan appearance, actually. I did end up watching a bit of that. So, but yeah, everybody, until next time, I'll probably be streaming on Sunday morning. I'm going to do that. So maybe I'll see some people then. But until then, until next time, everybody, take care and peace.